Hey guys, it's Thermal Grease Monkey here, and I'm back again with another video. With the holidays ever approaching, there's going to be a lot of traveling going on, whether you're going to and from school or you're going to and from your family. Regardless, you're going to be a lot of traveling and you're going to want to be able to game. Now, it's a little difficult when you're on the go to haul around your big PC with you, so I wanted to give you a different option. I wanted to see if I could build a small form factor ITX build you could easily take with you on the go and travel with during the holiday season. So to kick things off, for 420 bucks, I decided to create a little budget ITX build. Now this little guy here, I'm going to go over how we built everything, the pricing, and some options you can do, whether you want to save a few bucks or have different options. So to kick things off, we started with a Ryzen 5 1600, 6 cores, 12 threads, Zen 1 architecture. I know it's a little on the older side, but for only 25 bucks, fantastic deal. For our motherboard, we got an ASRock A320 board for only $50. An ITX board, they're really hard to find for a low price, and finding one for 50 bucks was a phenomenal deal. For our RAM, we got 16 gigs of Alloy RAM that can do, in theory, 3200 megahertz, although we're only clocked to 2666 because we're stuck with the Zen 1 architecture limits. For our PC cooler, or CPU cooler, it's from PC Cooler. And I'll throw up a little picture of it. It's for small form factor, low profile builds. And additionally, right now, as of this video, they have a little bit of a promotion going on that includes a free 120 millimeter fan, and all of that is only 25 bucks. It's a fantastic deal, great cooler, and coming with a case fan really made things come together for the cooling for this system. The next thing we're going to move on to is the graphics card. I got myself an MSI Ventus GTX 1660 Super for only $70. Phenomenal deal, and a growing trend to see that a lot of these GPUs that have now lost game-ready driver support, but will still get security updates, are a fantastic choice for budget builders. For our storage, I got a 1 terabyte Western Digital Black SN850X M.2 drive. Now I know it's a little bit overkill for the system, but getting an open box for 65 bucks was a great deal, and I really didn't want to pass up on it. For our case, as you saw, I got the Lee & Lee TU150 for 75 bucks. And I personally, at home with my machine here, actually used the same exact case, and when I bought it, it was $150. So it's nice to see that Lee & Lee has now made the TU150 a very affordable case for the ITX market, and having it have a handle makes it really easy to move around with, although I will note, I don't know how much I trust the handle. And to finish things off here, we got an 850 watt 80 plus gold power supply from Aries Game. Normally it runs for about 120 bucks, but with a coupon, it ended up being only about $90 on Amazon, which was fantastic, and I was gonna make that happen absolutely with a great deal like that. So, kicking things off, we're gonna be playing 4 games. We're gonna be playing Valorant, CS2, Black Ops 6, and Battlefield 6. Now, getting into this ahead of time, I wanna make a quick note about something that I learned. The A320 board that I got did have the BIOS updated and had TPM 2.0 and Secure Boot with the updated BIOS, which was fantastic to see. So the Ryzen 5 1600, although it has those features, isn't officially supported by Windows 11, but with those 2 features on, I was able to install Windows 11 with no issues. Didn't have to do any registry tweaks whatsoever. I was able to just go straight through and install Windows 11. Additionally, a couple weeks ago, I made a video talking about playing games on unsupported hardware with Windows 11. All the games that I was talking about, I couldn't play. Battlefield 6, Valorant. Well, obviously we're going to be able to play it. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the games. Kicking things off here, we're going to start off with Valorant, and I'll throw up a little bit of gameplay here. For Valorant, I did 3 different graphics settings. We're running everything at 1080p. We're averaging at high with 4x MSAA and anisotropic filtering at 16x, averaging 172 FPS, with our 1% lows being 127 FPS. At medium, with 2x MSAA and anisotropic filtering at 4x, we're averaging 193 FPS, with 151 for the 1% lows. And at low, I had MSA turned off and anisotropic filtering at 1x. We're averaging about 215 FPS with 167 for the 1% lows. Now, it is going to depend a little bit on what map you're on, as well as a couple other factors, but overall, the game plays really smoothly. If you're trying to get 2, 3, 400 FPS, obviously, you know, you're going to need a little bit better hardware. But if you're just kind of casually gaming and playing Valorant, it does a really great job, and I never even noticed the drop in performance. When I did the testing of this, the very first game I played a TDM deathmatch. I just played regular deathmatch, and I actually won my very first deathmatch in Valorant ever. So, just for proof here that it didn't matter about the FPS as long as you were focused on playing the game, I didn't notice a thing. So, but if you're on the competitive side, then, you know, might be a little bit rough for you. Moving over to CS2, again, very easy to run. 1080p at very high, we're averaging 109 FPS with 1% lows being 62. At high, we're averaging 130 with 80 for our 1% lows. At medium, 150 with 85 for the 1% lows. And at low, we're at 166 with our 1% lows being 91. Now, as we saw in Valorant, at the high FPS games like Valorant and CS2, you're going to see a wide range between your averages and 1% lows, and overall your averages are going to be on the lower side of things, but still overall a really good experience. You're going to be in the triple digits for the most part, and it does a solid job, again, unless you are hyper competitive and you need every single frame. The third game we're going to go over is Black Ops 6. Black Ops 6 did a fantastic job. 1080p with our image scaling put to performance. I put everything at extreme, starting things off. Our average was 67 FPS, with our 5% lows being 54 and 1% lows being 51. Moving things down to ultra, averaging 72 FPS, 5% lows were 60, 1% lows were 57. At balance, we're at 88, with our 5 and 1% lows being 77 and 73. At basic, we're averaging 93, with our 5 and 1% lows being 83 and 78. And at minimum, averaging 94, with our 5 and 1% lows being 84 and 78. Now, obviously, the averages, again, are lower than we might normally see with the 1660 Super, but it's a very playable experience. And again, when I was testing a lot of this stuff and getting footage and whatnot, I had a blast playing the game. I didn't notice a thing. I didn't miss a beat. So overall, it gives really good performance. And the final game we're going to go over is Battlefield 6. Now, Battlefield 6, it's the Battle Royale version, and I ran everything at low performance mode just to give it the absolute best possibility I could. Here's the footage right here. So going into the game, it looked really good, played super smooth, and I ended up getting 4th place in the game for my very first game. It was super smooth. I really enjoyed it. I got a couple kills, and if I'm being really honest with you, I didn't notice a thing. I had a tough time getting numbers, though. I would have loved to have kind of tested it a little bit more, but every single time I went back and I tried to benchmark it, I couldn't get consistent numbers at all. Not that the game was running inconsistently, but my numbers were running all over the place and it was not recording them properly, so I couldn't get exact numbers. I just have the footage, but overall it did a really good job. The parts here that I have, the Ryzen 5 1600 and the 1660 Super, are technically below spec for Battlefield 6, but obviously it does a really good job. They're overestimating with their minimums a little bit, and these two components did a fantastic job. The RAM is 16 gigs, so obviously it was going to be fine for a game like this. But the Ryzen 5 1600 and the 1660 Super overall do a great job. And kind of wrapping things up here, I did previously, last week, make a video about the Ryzen 5 1600X with a 1660 Super, and I did play some other games. So if you're looking to see what other performance a system like this could have, I would go take a look at that video, and you'll get pretty accurate numbers for other games, say like Marvel Rivals, Dead by Daylight, Helldivers 2. I did play a few other games on there that you can take a look how they perform, so you have an idea. And a couple more things I want to clarify. The state of the market's a little volatile at the moment with all the AI stuff now. There's a lot more memory modules that are needed, so RAM prices overall have gone up. So before RAM prices, you could get a new kit of RAM for about 25 bucks for a 16 gig kit. Now new kits are going for about 60 to 65 bucks at the cheapest possible. And for your used kits, I found a lot of them around 45. You can get individual 8 gig or 16 gig sticks for anywhere I've seen from about 20 bucks up to 35, and it is all over the place. So if you're willing to get a mismatched kit of RAM, you might be able to get away with that and save a few dollars as well, if it's something you're willing to do. If not, totally fine. Another thing is storage, although I found a lot of new drives were about 65 bucks for a lot of the cheap PCI 3.0 and SATA drives for 1 terabyte. We're about at the $65 price point that I paid for mine. I do suspect they're going to slowly creep up in price as well, with all of these storage and memory modules increasing in price. One more thing I wanted to mention too was for the graphics card. Now my 1660 Super, I found a lot of these 1660 class of cards generally go for about 80 to 100 bucks. I found mine for 70, and it will be possible. Although again, with all the memory module shortages, I do suspect new graphics card prices might bump up a little bit, which could affect the used market. And last but certainly not least is the motherboard. I need to clarify. I got a fantastic deal on my A320 ASRock board. A lot of the other motherboards I saw were older DDR2, DDR3, ITX, fully integrated systems. Not fantastic choices. I did see quite a few 6th and 7th gen Intel ITX motherboards, so those could be a fantastic choice. At the time of filming this, I found one that was an H110 motherboard with an i5-6400 that came with a cooler for about 50 bucks, which not a bad deal. But if you want to find something that's going to be a little bit more modern, 8th, 9th gen Intel or a first generation 300 series AM4 motherboard, you're going to have to be very patient in finding one for about this price. Otherwise, you can usually find 6th and 7th gen Intel boards, if you're okay with that, for about the same price. And obviously you can find some with a CPU included. So I know this has been a little bit more of a talking head video, but I hope you guys did enjoy. I had a ton of fun building a compact budget system. Obviously, you can move your money around how you want to. You can go a little bit cheaper on the power supply with lower wattage. I wouldn't cheap out and get a worse unit. You can go with a different case. There's a lot of different options you can go with, but I just wanted to show you what you could do for around the $400, $420 price point, and show you that, yeah, you can build a good compact system for an affordable price. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you guys are getting notifications for when my videos are going up. If you guys liked the video, please hit a like button. If you guys didn't, feel free to hit the dislike button. Totally understand. And I would love to hear some comments from you guys from things that you would have done building a roughly $400 ITX build. And I want to hear some other video ideas you want to hear me do. So I would always reading the comments, always answering to people. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And I will see you guys all next week. Adios.